All right, welcome to the live Christmas drawing for December 7th, 2022. Today is going to be a Funko Advent Calendar, day number 7 for the Disney Advent Calendar I've been doing. I plan on opening it and doing the drawing every day in December until the 24th, because there's only 24 in this one. But let me bring up the camera here. Forgot. I guess we should do full camera for this. So we got, it's definitely not going to show up well on the camera here. The Disney Funko Advent Calendar. Got all your days on the back here. Today's day number 7. So we're going to crack into that. Let me bring that down smaller. I don't like when that's huge. So along with all the pieces being in the Advent Calendar box, they're also blind bagged inside. So you have all your pieces in here hidden behind the door and then also hidden in a bag. So today we are going to be drawing. This is a fun one. This is a nice little gingerbread cookie style of Mickey Mouse. It's flat. Well, it's pretty thick, but it's not like rounded like the other figures have been. So it's basically a gingerbread cookie Mickey Mouse. Let me see if I can bring it up closer. Here you go. The greens in it tend not to show up because of the green screen in the background, but that's what it looks like. So that's what we're going to be drawing today. So let me bring up the drawing tablet here. Let me move this out of the way. And that's the piece we're going to do. And this one's Christmas themed, which is nice. So my thoughts on this Advent Calendar so far are... Oh, hey, Todd. Hey, thanks. Yeah, I got it decorated here for the holidays. So my thoughts on this Advent Calendar so far, when they have Christmas themed pieces like this, enjoyable. This one's a nice one, a gingerbread one. I noticed that Funko Pops have done some gingerbread style cookies or Christmas cookie series, I guess, for this year. But there have been a couple of days in this one where they're not a Christmas themed picture. And that I was kind of bummed about. I had a Mickey Mouse. I think it was the very first day. It was not a Christmas themed one. or it was one of the other days. I can't remember. I'll have to go back and look at my daily drawings. But yeah, I had two pieces so far. There was a Goofy and a Mickey that were just straight up Goofy and Mickey. So I had to add a little Christmas element to them when I drew them. But this one is a gingerbread style, so this one should be fairly easy. We're going to start sketching out here with a square head. A lot of the Funko Pops have square heads. This one a little more square than the other one since it's supposed to be a cookie. So we're going to do the hat, the little brim there of the hat. Mickey's ears come off on the side, and the top part of the hat, and the ball on the hat. Okay. Then we'll start sketching in his face here. So you got Mickey's nose. Now, if this is supposed to be a gingerbread cookie, they icinged it up pretty well. It's got like a holiday-themed sweater here. So that's pretty neat. But if I leave it just like this is kind of like how it looks. They only have a little... I have to make this face more square. They only have a little line drawn here for the mouth. It looks like a French mustache. Like right now, he looks like a... Oh, what's that? We'll say Jacques Cousteau type of character. Let me see if I can bring this up here. It's definitely kind of hard to see. But they just have two little lines there for the nose since it's not 3D, since it's supposed to be a cookie. But we'll work that a little bit with shading when we do that. Now this guy is just pretty much square. There's not really too much life to him, like too much movement or bending. So it should be a fairly simple sketch here. And Mickey's pants, he's got his yellow shoes, his pants, white dots on him. And like I said, he's got a Christmas sweater on, which is a really nice touch. And his arms are coming out here. So now the figures for this advent calendar, this one's, we call them the Fab Five, your classic Mickey Mouse. There was one oddball one that I wasn't expecting. So before I started opening this, my wife and I were trying to think of characters that were going to be in this. Here, really quick, though, when I'm drawing this candy cane, they just have the candy cane kind of stuck on his hand. Since it's a cookie, it's not really grabbing it or anything. It's just kind of sitting there. So it's going to look a little weird in the picture, but that's how it really is. So yeah, when we were trying to think of the characters that were going to be in this, we basically stuck to the Fab Five, being Mickey, Minnie, Donald, Goofy, and Pluto. And Daisy is one of the options. But then we were kind of thinking, okay, maybe Chip and Dale. We were trying to think of all random characters that would be in here. And one of them that was in here, I can't believe me and my wife did not think of, was Tigger. So Tigger from Winnie the Pooh showed up in here, which was nice, but now it also leads me to believe that there might be some other Winnie the Pooh options that we didn't even think about. All right, so this cookie has the icing on it, so it's just going to be basically a brown cookie coloring, and then all of this is supposed to be icing. So it's kind of segmented on the character, but that's all we're going to do for the sketch layer. We're going to go right into the inking layer, and I've been using Technical Pen for these just because it gives you a little bit of a finer line. But again, with this all being icing, I'm going to try to make it look not as Jacques Cousteau here as possible, but we'll see. But yeah, I've enjoyed the advent calendar so far. Like I said, when you have that oddball one that's not a Christmas theming, I'm a little bummed out, but I guess you can't win them all. I was talking with Chris from Christmas Time in the City, and he was saying about being a little behind on advent calendars, and I feel the same way. Like, you build up to it, you're excited to get everything started, and then before you know it, today's already December 7th. We're already a week into it. It's crazy. Just flies by a little too quick. All right, we got the candy cane here. I'm going to have the hand. And again, everything's cookie based with icing. Candy cane we'll do when we do some of the coloring. And what's kind of hard for me, what I've been doing is I've been taking a picture of the character, of the figure that I get each day, and then I'll just kind of zoom in on it and look at it while I'm drawing it, just because it's a little easier for me to see. So I'm sitting here struggling trying to look trying to look at this little figure right in front of my face here, but I'm trying. So yeah, I'd be interested if anyone is watching this and you have ideas what you think. You could take some guesses on some of the figures that you think are going to be in here, if they'll be Christmas related. I'd be interested to hear anyone's thoughts on that. Because, again, I just assumed they all would have been Christmas related, being a Christmas advent calendar, but 2 days so far have been let down a little bit. So this has a line right there because of the cookie, so I'm going to leave it just because that's how the actual figure is. I'm trying to see if I missed anything. Here we go. I missed the Mickey parts on his face there. I think that looks about it. So now we could erase the pencil layer, get rid of that, reference this layer. We're going to add a layer down here. And then we're going to start coloring. So with this being a gingerbread cookie, we're going to try to find a nice gingerbread. Yep, left that open a little bit. A nice gingerbread base color. This might be a little, let's try to go a little more orangey with it. Let's see how that looks. That looks a little better, so I think we're going to stick with that one. And I'm going to just drop this in all of the locations because we'll just color on top of it. I think that's all the spots I need to do, with the exception of that ear, but I have to fix that real quick. I think it was probably just that one little piece right there. So we'll go back to this layer. Yep, that's all it was. You know what? I'm going to just drop this in there as well because, well, honestly, it's everywhere that it's brown. And I forgot one other part here. There we go. I don't know how I missed that the first time around, but I did. Back to our coloring here. All right. Everything is going to get this brown treatment to it, and then we're going to layer in the color on top of it. Trust me, it'll make sense. I think that's probably the only part where I didn't need that, but okay, now I have not been doing solid black. I've been doing it a little bit on the gray side for the nose and the eyes. So I'm going to keep that up with this one. Then we're going to go to yellow for his shoes. And then I'm going to select them like that. I'm going to make this a little bit larger. And what I think I'm going to do, since it's supposed to just look like icing, I kind of want to leave it on the edge a little bit. Yeah, that didn't work like I was thinking it would. I could probably switch this over to the syrup one for this, just because some of the spacing is going to be a little bit bigger. And I don't want that crisp edge look if it's a little wavy, that's actually better. Just because icing, you know. I'll shrink that a little bit. Perfect. And that part was brown. Now we're going to do the pants, which are red. So we're going to switch this over. And just color this in. Drop some red in there because that part's red as well. And then we'll move on to the hat. I don't want to rely on the cookie part sticking out too much. I don't want it to, because it doesn't look like that all over the whole figure, but most of it. And we'll go do the ears. I always say that this part looks like Mickey's hairline. I guess because I have a real high widow's peak, so it always reminded me of that. I'll try to get close to the edge on some of them. Now, normally when I do like my little hash marks and lines and hairs and stuff, I usually do them in black. But since we have a lot of darker colors in this, I may do them in white this time. That looks good. Then we'll select these two, drop in some white. I always like to go here and pull up to the white that way. That way I know it's pure white. And we'll get some of this in here. All right, now the candy cane. Oops, I don't know what I pushed there. There we go. And we're going to drop in some red, but I'm going to shrink that down a little bit. All right, and we'll go to the shirt, which is green. Nice festive green color. I don't want to drop that. Forget what I'm doing sometimes. Okay, then we'll draw little black dots here on this part of the hand. I guess those are supposed to be like the black dots that are on the back of Mickey's hands on his gloves, like those little lines. I always wondered what those were on cartoons. Like why on the backs of hands do they put those little lines sometimes? I'm not sure. Okay, then this part on the neck was white as well. So we're going to drop that in there. And I'm trying to look at this here, and it looks like we got all of the color base down here. So now we're going to add another layer. We'll go to a shadow. And now we're going to just start giving it a little dimension here. A little too dark. So even though this cookie technically doesn't have much dimension to it, I'm going to add some. Just because I don't really care too much for a flat drawing. I'll do that part in there a little bit darker. And then I think there's looks like there's a couple red lines on the sweater here. I'm going to do that in a second so I don't forget. Looks like that's about all I'm going to do for shadowing. Let me go back to the color, go back to red, technical, size it down a little bit. And looking at the shirt here, I think there's only that one, but I'll add my own little lines there. Back to our shadow layer, we'll go to highlights and syrup. And now we'll highlight the eyes and the nose, because you got to figure if this is icing, the icing that they use on like a cookie like this is usually pretty shiny. So we'll add some shine to it. Again, gives it a nice dimension. We'll add a little bit there, not too much. Like the drier cookie parts are not going to have too much highlights on them just because of the material that it is. But definitely the icing part. All right. And a little bit there. And a tiny bit on the black icing, just because black icing needs some. And then we will go back to our reference layer. Go back to my technical pen here. And just gonna add just a couple little lines here. Again, I don't do it with white lines often, but I figure it's a good chance to now since I have a lot of black. One thing I kind of like to do sometimes is add like a little patchwork piece. I like to hide that in. Oh, I shouldn't even say hide. It's very blatant where it always is. And I'll throw an opposite color in there. I tend to go with some purples for most of that, but don't know why it wouldn't color in here. So let's just manually color it just to finish that part up. All right, go back to here, and we'll finish this out. And then we're going to add it to my wreath piece that I've been doing. So what I've been doing with this, just because I like to combine them all together so I could see it when it's all finished, I've been just putting a little... sheesh. Hey, thanks. Thanks, Thunderstrike 916. And Taterson WPD, you want to offer promotion on my channel? No thanks. Pack it in, not interested, but thanks anyway. All right, so I think we're good there. But what I've been doing, like I said, I've been putting all of them into a wreath piece. But before I do that, I'll combine all of my layers. So I have my reference, my shadows, and my coloring layer. What I've been doing, I combine them all. Then I'll copy it. Then undo my merging. That way I have it. Then I'll go back to my gallery here, open up my wreath, and I'm going to drop it in here. Then I could shrink it down and move them and place them where I want to. I think he's going to go. See, I already have two Mickeys on the left-hand side. So let's angle this guy and drop him over here. One thing I want to see before I do that is if I drop in white on a couple of these parts, make sure they stay before I finalize it. Yeah, see, sometimes you get a problem with it where it won't work like that. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to, let me eliminate that layer that I just did. Let me go back to today's drawing here. Go to my colors, and I'm going to fill all those in right here. That way I don't have that problem. But yeah, I don't know why that does that sometimes. The candy cane one's going to give me a hard time here just because... And sorry on the chat there. I don't usually look at the chat. I should set it up to be notified when someone messages. Maybe put like a sound or something. All right, so let me see on... Yeah, I definitely... Something was open. Must have been a piece of the candy cane. All right, we're going to leave it like that. The candy cane's just going to have to suffer. So we're going to copy that, then undo that. Then I'm going back to the wreath, and I'm going to paste it in there. Yeah, it was the candy cane. So he's small enough, though. You're not even going to see that candy cane. I'm not worried about it. There is, I guess, a way I could do this. Let's see. See, it must have been... There's definitely something open in that hand, but that's all right. All right, so he's going to get shrunk down. I'll angle him this way, slap him in there, and then here's what I could do. I'm going to go add a new layer right underneath him and color it white. See, there's little ways around everything. So I have my white pieces there. That looks like everything. Then I'm going to combine those two layers. All right. So there's my figure in the wreath, and then we're going to go back to the actual figure, sign it, and call it quits for the day. So I'm going to go to calligraphy, sign this piece, and today, again, is December 7th. I almost said December 12th, but that's because I was writing a 12 when I said it. So there's the piece. Let me bring it up here on the screen. Yes, Todd, thanks so much for joining in. I will be on your stream later tonight as well. And there we go. So that is today's piece, my Mickey Gingerbread Funko Advent Calendar piece. I'm going to bring it up here one more time so you can see him, compare him there if you want. Right there. And that's what we came up with. I like them. All right, so thank you guys for watching. I will be back here next week while we open up another door and do a live drawing of the piece that we get that day. Tune into my Instagram daily at Agu Designs. You can see every piece that I'm drawing from this Advent calendar every day up until December 24th. And with that, I will see you guys next week. Thanks for watching.